troubadour, and I introduced them, and they stood up and they sang 10, and my jaw hit the ground. It just, there was nothing like them around at that time, nothing.
Sing, walnut, sing, walnut, drive on, walnuts, drive on. Oh, wouldn't be for all the world that you'll leave Waterloo.
Everyone has a soundtrack to their childhood, you know, me and my cousins and my family and my aunties and my uncles and everything, and the soundtrack to that is actually the sound of my family singing, you know, my family singing particular songs as well.
3 children, Norma, Lal and Mike, each one of them musically a giant. Mike writes the most fabulous songs of a narrative variety. Lal used to write the most fabulous songs of a lyrical variety. Norma's written 1 or 2 things, but she's a singer who can sing absolutely anything. And she's passed that on to Eliza.
I love making something just out of nothing. I love that. When you have the total freedom to do whatever you want, you know, you've got a studio full of toys, then it's fantastic. I love going in with 2 or 3 lines in my head and making a complete song, you know. And then I love working on something in my head for months and months and months and months. Like, I mean, anybody that writes will tell you sometimes it comes out all in one go, and then sometimes it comes out in lots of disparate ideas that one day you'll just be looking through your notebook and you'll just go, why did I never see that these things were exactly the same thing, that they're talking about the same thing, and you can put those things together and make them, you know, into a cohesive song. That happens a lot as well, you know, because you do return to personal themes, you return to things that you know, things that you just dwell on. The things that you dwell on are always the same at the end of the day. So sometimes you can have some things that you've written like a year apart, a verse here and a verse there, and you suddenly realise that they're perfect for each other as verses, or one of them's perfect for the chorus, and that kind of thing. I'm like little scraps of paper, you know, little lines in my head.
She's always written poetry. She always wrote. I mean, she would, you know, when she was 8 or 9, she used to write really pretty stuff. She writes very much like her auntie Lal.
Lal Waterson, Eliza's aunt, is one of the great English songwriters. In 1998, Lal died of cancer aged 55.
Sleeping in my bed.
Lal Waters, I think, was one of the greatest songwriters this country has produced in the last 50 years. She wrote some amazing songs that seemed to have nothing to do with any other songwriter. It seemed to come from nowhere except her own imagination, a very fertile imagination, and, again, rooted in the countryside, the geography of Yorkshire.
Rain pours and the wind roars. All the folks are indoors. We came through a ford, riding over the moors. Fine flying sparrow, fine, fine horseman.
Her songs were not particularly about one thing. She wrote several songs with bits of, you know, bits about the sea, bits about the you know, the weather and things like that. Her songs were quite obscure.
Shades of yellow, shades of green.
And people used to say, what does that mean? And she just said, does it have to mean anything? Bloody annoying.
Sparrow, fine, fine horseman. Sleeping in my bed, strange thoughts are running through my head, and I dreamed you were playing with my hair. Fine flying sparrow, fine, fine When it was our bedtime, if Mike and Norma and they'd come round and sing in the front room, and we used to sneak down and sit at the bottom of the stairs and listen. And we had a few sing-songs here, and my kids were sat at the bottom of the stairs sneaking and listening too, so it was a rite of passage.
The thing about Eliza with regards to the Watersons is, you've got to remember, none of the Watersons played violin. And Eliza's violin playing and what she does with it and how she pitches it and where it begins and ends is a marvel to me, because it never begins where I think it's going to begin, it never goes where I think it's going to go, and it never ends where I expect it's going to end.
I always remember just one time, there's a song of hers that just, every time she does it, well, there's a few songs of hers that do that to me, but there's one in particular because it was the first one that completely blew me out of my chair. It seemed to have come from nowhere, and of course it hadn't. She'd been working on it. It's a thing called A Maid Lamenting.